Lesson 11.7 is on circles and circumference. So there's a few warm-up problems. I want you to try these, pause it, and then we'll go through them together. Number 1 says identify the number as rational or irrational. Remember, rational is anything that can be written as a fraction. So decimal that ends or a decimal that repeats is rational. Irrational is decimals that go on forever. They don't end, they don't repeat. So letter A, 3.14, that decimal ends, which means it can be written as a fraction. So this is rational. Hang on. B, 0.1234 ... that's going on forever. That's not repeating, that's not ending, so that would be irrational. And then C, 6 divided by 9 can be written as a fraction of 6 over 9, so that is rational. Number 2 says to evaluate. A is negative, or the opposite of, the absolute value of 6. Well, the absolute value of 6 is 6. The opposite of that is negative, so negative 6. And B is 2/3 to the third power, which means 2/3 times 2/3 times 2/3. I can't cross simplify, so I'm just going to multiply the numerators. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. Multiply the denominators. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. Can't simplify, so there's my answer. Some vocab is circumference. Circumference is the distance around a circle. And the formula for circumference is C equals 3.14D. So 3.14 we're going to use instead of using the pi button, just because that's what you're going to be seeing on like standardized tests. So we're only going to use 3.14. Circumference is that distance around the circle. 3.14 is pi, and diameter is the distance across the circle, which is different from radius. Radius is just from the outside of the circle to the center. So diameter is 2 times the radius. Radius is half of the diameter. That's going to help us out. So the first problem in your notes says find the distance around the swimming pool to the nearest meter. Okay, distance around the swimming pool, it's a circle, so we're going to use circumference equals pi times diameter. I'm going to plug in 3.14 for pi, and then I have to figure out what else I know. So we're trying to find the circumference. We don't know the circumference. We know pi is 3.14, and we know diameter is all the way across the circle. So if the radius is 12, that means the diameter is double that. So the diameter here is 24 meters. So I'm going to do times 24. Then in my calculator, I'm going to take 3.14 times 24, and I get 75.36, and it says round to the nearest meter. So it would be 75 meters. The next problem says a bicycle tire has a diameter of 26 inches. Find the circumference, round to the nearest tenth. So circumference is pi times diameter, 3.14 times diameter. I know my diameter is 26, so I'm going to rewrite this as 3.14 times, plugging in 26 for D. And then in my calculator, 3.14 times 26, rounded to the nearest tenth, would be 81.6. And then my label would be inches. Number 3 says a basketball rim has a circumference of about 56.5 inches. Find its diameter to the nearest hundredth. So we're working with circumference, so I'm going to write my formula. C equals 3.14 times diameter. This one's a little bit different because in this one I'm given the circumference. The circumference is 56.5 equals 3.14 times the diameter. I'm going to solve for diameter. So to do that, I'm going to get rid of 3.14 on both sides. So I'm dividing both sides by 3.14. This gets me d by itself, and then 56.5 divided by 3.14. I get 17.99363, and it says to the nearest hundredth. So that would be 17 and 99 hundredths, and it's measured in inches. So the diameter, 17.99 inches. This one says the Leaning Tower of Pisa has a base with an approximate circumference of 163.28 meters. What is the radius of the base? So I'm given circumference. I'm going to use my formula. C equals 3.14D. And then when I get my answer for the diameter, I'm going to have to split that in half because the radius is half of the diameter. So 163.28 is the circumference, equals 3.14 times diameter. Divide both sides by 3.14 to get diameter by itself. And I'm left with 52 equals diameter, 52 meters. Okay, we know that diameter is all the way across the circle. Radius is halfway. So I'm going to take 52 divided by 2. And I get 26 meters. So the radius of the base is 26 meters. Okay, and then this problem says the circumference of a basketball is 30 inches. What is the approximate diameter? So again, circumference is pi times diameter using 3.14 for pi. We know the circumference is 30, so I plug that in for C. 3.14 is pi, and we don't know the diameter. To get diameter by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 3.14. And I get 9.55414, and it says, what is the approximate? So we're going to round that to about 9.6 inches is the diameter. So our answer would be letter D. This problem here is an example of something you would see on the MCA. So it says, Erin keeps her dog in the pen shown above. The pen is made by 2 walls of a building and a curved fence. What is the length of the fence? So our job is to figure out this curved length of the fence. What I'm going to do here is I am going to use the circumference, and I'm going to divide it by 4. I know that this is 1/4 of the circle because I have this 90-degree angle here. And there's 4 90-degree angles in a 360-degree circle. So I'm going to write my formula of circumference equals pi times diameter, and I'm using 3.14 times pi. I'm going to find the full circumference first, and then divide that by 4. So I have 3.14 times, and if my radius is 16, that means my diameter is 32, because the diameter is double the radius. 3.14 times 32 gives me 100.5 rounded, and then I'm going to divide that by 4 because this is just 1/4 of the circle, and that gives me with this, that 1/4 of the circumference is about 25 feet. So our answer would be A.